What's up, weirdos? Welcome to Beautiful Alien, the home to every nerd, geek, flat out weirdos, and everyone who's felt like they live in a world where they don't belong. This is your haven, a haven for us to learn, deep dive, and discuss folklore, legends, creatures, and all things unseen. Let's get started discussing some spooky things. Welcome to Beautiful Alien. I am your host, Matea, and this is my co-host,
Yanni.
And today, for episode 1 of Beautiful Alien, we are going to be talking about the origins of werewolves, or you know what, werewolves as a whole. Because when it comes down to vampires versus werewolves, I am a werewolf girl, okay? So, you know, they say pick a side has been chosen. Now, with that introduction, we're not going to be talking too much on vampires, but we will in future episodes. But let's go ahead and talk about how did werewolves even come about? And co-host Yanni, if you had to pick a side, who are you, vampire or werewolf?
It depends. As long as I'm not getting burned to death, I guess I would choose vampire. But other than that, I'm choosing werewolf.
Facts. Okay. And I guess it also depends on what particular series you're in, what movie you're in, because I mean, vampires definitely have different abilities based on the films that they're in or the TV shows, but so do werewolves. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the history of werewolves, the first thing that I was able to find in our research was the Epic of Gilgamesh. Do you remember a little bit more about that story?
I remember a little bit about it. I mean, yeah, just not too much about him falling in love with this goddess named Ishtar, but he didn't really want to, marry her because she turned her other husband into a wolf.
Yeah, so one of her previous lovers, she definitely turned into a wolf. And though, I guess Ishtar was interested in Gilgamesh, she was like, absolutely not. I'm not doing that, because if there's any chance on God's green earth that I'm going to become that girl, I seen that you crazy, okay? Sometimes you got to spot the red flags in their prior relationship than the one that they're currently in, right? Or want to have with you. So I think that that's pretty interesting. And I actually really love that. But that was one of the oldest stories that I can think about when it comes to the werewolf origin. The other one was like the story of Lycaon, and it was Greek. And I think that the story goes where there is this king, Lycaon, and he decides that he's actually going to feed Zeus human meat. And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it a child?
Yeah, it was a child.
Yeah, so he tried to feed Zeus a child without Zeus knowing it, and got pretty nasty.
Yeah, it was his child at that matter.
It was?
Yes.
It was like Zeus's child?
No, like his child.
Oh, that's crazy. See, I didn't get that piece of the research, so thank you for that. But so thinking about it, like, Zeus got so upset to the point to where he was like, oh, if you feel like, it's acceptable to feast on human meat, then won't you do it in a more proper form, and turned him, and not only him, but his sons into wolves as well. Isn't that insane? So that's how we get Lycaon in the reference when it comes to werewolves. So I kind of love that.
My question is, what did the sons do? They wasn't even in the mess.
That's a good question. But if you think about the ultimate, the lineage of people, the children always pay for the sins of the father. I mean, that's been in so many different, stories. It's even biblical, if you want to take it there. So a lot of people have paid for the sins of their fathers and their mothers. I mean, to even take it biblically, I mean, the reason why women have, pain, during childbirth is because of Eve, so for that, well, that's my interpretation and my understanding of it. So, I mean, you always kind of pay for the sins of your mother and father, so.
Yeah. Curse you, Eve and Adam, after eating those stupid apples.
Hey, look, listen, we've all known better. and decided to not do better at one point in time. So I think that that's a really crazy. I love that there are multiple references of, you know, werewolves in different cultures, and like the origins come from so many different places. And oh wait, have you ever heard of pelts, like wolf pelts?
Oh yeah, I have. I think it was in the show called was it Supernatural? Or was it called The Order or something?
Yeah, it was called The Order. Absolutely. So in The Order, there's this guy. If you guys haven't checked out The Order, by the way, whoever decided to cancel the show, you gotta do better, because when The Order came out, I was so in love, and I absolutely love the dynamic of the werewolves and how the pelts actually choose the human that they are going to kind of embody, that's going to embody them. So the pelts are like wolf skin, and they are in this chest, and we're talking about in the show here, and they're in this chest, and whoever kind of comes into the room, they don't always get chosen, but each wolf has its own personality. So it's kind of like a spirit that goes along with it. And when someone comes into the room, it then chooses that person without even their consent or their knowledge, really.
If I ever go into a room and some skin of a dog wraps on my leg and says, "I've chosen you to be my vessel," I'm gonna have to decline.
But listen, they don't get to decline. And then even in the show, like being stripped of your pelt was incredibly painful. And so if you guys haven't checked out The Order, that's really good. I think there's only 2 seasons, and there won't be any more as of yet, as of what we know. So I really, really enjoy that. But that kind of brings me to it's the saga of the Volkson, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so. But not only are you taking control of my body without my consent, you're also putting me through the pain that it pulls me through. You didn't even mention this in the job.
Facts. You did not have a job description for this. It's crazy. Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, who gave you permission over my body? Because I sure didn't.
For sure. And the thing also is like, so one of the craziest things is also like, we're thinking about like not even knowing what comes along with the job description. That's so true, because you know, when you get bitten by a vampire and you realize like you're going through the change, like you kind of know, you know what I mean? Even if you kind of are aware that like, oh, you got bit, like you kind of know. But with the werewolf situation and the pelt jumping on you, that's crazy. Like you have no idea.
At least when you get bitten by a vampire, they give you a choice. Like, do you want to become one of us or do you want to die? And
do they? Because I know a lot of situations where they didn't give them a choice.
Yes, they do. If they find them interesting, they're like, you know what? I like you. Do you want to become a vampire? And they give them.
I don't remember that. Name one scenario.
Well, in Castlevania, Dracula offered his wife, I forgot her name, but he offered his wife for her to become a vampire. But then she said, you know what? No, I want to keep my human.
This anime, my anime, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
So, that's nice, but you know, I'm like, okay, hold on. I'm kind of old school, like Buffy. So in Buffy, they was just snatching people up and like, yaga, and then they waking up and don't even know really what's going on. In Supernatural, it was like this. Well, they wasn't really turning people that often, but Bill from not Supernatural, in
True
Blood, Bill got changed against his will. He didn't really know like what the case was gonna be. He knew the lady was crazy, but I don't think they disclosed and they're like, hey, this is what's gonna happen. No, they don't do that. Like they're just like, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do and you gonna deal with it later, cause who gonna fight me?
Right. She literally say, yoink.
And it's over for you. So yeah, I just think that that's kind of crazy. But in the saga of Volkson, if I'm not mistaken, it's like the story that I saw was about like a father and son who gets they end up stumbling across some wolf pelts, and then they start to kind of not transition, but they turn into a wolf. And then there's like this village, if I'm not mistaken, that is kind of being terrorized by werewolves. You know, like people are going missing, kids are going missing, and then things is kind of all bad. And then one day they just decide like, hey, you know, we just gonna store these things. Either we're gonna store them, because I don't think they end up destroying them, but they didn't have them anymore, or either they had them and just never used them, and then they're just like, we're not gonna transition anymore. Like, we're kind of done with this. This is crazy. We're not doing it anymore. And so I really like that story of the wolf pelts, because it definitely gives a different perspective when it comes to like how werewolves are. And I like the werewolves that are like, that have a brain, that change when they want to, because sometimes, like, okay, so you remember in Underworld, like the werewolves kind of low-key didn't really have brains, to be honest. Like, they didn't think for themselves. They were kind of like this herd type of mentality, like, we're doing this, very animalistic, very lack of self-control. And I don't really like that. I like the ones that are like, hey, I know exactly what I'm doing. We move as a pack, we move as a family, we, navigate like that, and I enjoy that.
Right. And also, oh crap, I lost my train of thought. It'll come back to me.
So one of the other things that I wanted to kind of talk about was some folklore. So I was looking at different cultures that had werewolf folklore, and Native Americans have always talked about shapeshifters more so, and like wolfman type of folklore, and stories. But because I couldn't match that to a particular native tribe, I couldn't find a particular story that I felt like was valid, because I never want to push anything onto a culture that, people are like, you know what, girl, that is not the truth. We don't believe in that. I've never heard of that. Not even people from this tribe. So because of that, we're not really going to go into that too much. But one of the ones that I was able to find was a Armenian folklore story, and it was about the I think it's called the Marigal or something like that. Marigal. Marigal. Okay. Well, outlook me. I'm trying to pronounce it correctly, which probably wasn't, but it's cool. Look.
I just assumed.
Well, look, we're assuming. But in this one, it's actually kind of spooky because, for me, whenever it comes down to like spirits and stuff, I move very, cautiously, but it says that is a spirit, and actually it targets children, and actually it mentions that it's a spirit that will unlock your doors, like, and windows to get to like kids and them go missing and different things like that. So I gotta, no, I gotta shake that off, because that's a little creepy to me. But that is like a version of a werewolf story for the Armenian folklore.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't know what they're doing with the kids. I don't know if they're eating them. I don't know if they're turning them. But if they ever come to my window, I'm just gonna have to pass on that. I mean, if they're offering me to become a werewolf, maybe I'll consider it. But if they might eat me, then you know what? I'm gonna just stay here. You can talk to my mom about that.
Listen, in that case, that is like low-key, like, feels like an evil spirit. I'm not doing that. I'm rebuking and binding right now in Jesus' name. Okay, listen, don't make me pull out my holy oil, because I ain't playing.
Say no to evil entities.
For sure. The next one that I wanted to talk about is hyenas. Now, keep in mind that, okay, like, it's not technically a werewolf, but I mean, it's a were-dog in essence, like, type. So the African hyena is something that like in African villages, and I want to say maybe I wish I had wrote down the African village, but it's something that is very much so, afraid of, people are afraid of, and they move in a certain type of way during the village to take into consideration the fact that there are hyenas. And one of the things is that, not being out after dark, which I could imagine there's a lot of wildlife in Africa, so there may be multiple villages that are kind of like that. But there are multiple villages that believe in the hyena and believe that, it does take people and it will stalk its prey, similar to, like, first of all, let's talk about hyenas within itself, like, crazy. Like, I will never, when I think about, and this is like my kitty mind coming through, but Where hyena, I just think of the Lion King. Like, I think about the crazy hyenas that's on there that are just kind of like savages, and I hate to say it like that because they're an animal, and they shouldn't be looked at as like negative or anything. But I do remember this episode in Buffy. Did you ever watch this episode where the hyenas had come to a zoo locally, and the exhibit was shut down because, long story short, the zookeeper had an idea that the hyena spirit would take over a human or something like that. There was all this stuff about it, and he had done his research, and the reason why he brought those specific kind of hyenas to the zoo was because he wanted to be embodied by the spirit of the hyena. And they ended up taking the spirits end up taking over some high schoolers and cause a muck amongst the town. So, Somerville for those Buffy the Vampire Slayer watchers. But yeah, so what do you think about the were-hyenas?
I mean, I feel like they would be a lot more like hyenas. Bottom line though, hyenas are extremely scary. You cannot outrun them, and even if you do outrun them, they don't get tired. They have lungs of steel. They have almost infinite stamina. And if anyone else didn't know about this, they have a really bone-crushing bite. So imagine combining a human bite and a hyena bite. I know that will hurt. I know that will hurt just like a hammer hitting your kneecaps. Yeah, I know. I know those people who've been to the doctor. You felt that pain. I know. Don't need to lie to me. And fun fact, completely off related. A single clean bite of a human's teeth, if you have a really clean and organized bite on a human's flesh or shoulder or anything, they will literally tear out a good chunk of that flesh. People can be cannibals.
Yeah, I definitely believe that for sure. I think there's just something in certain people's mind that's kind of that's gross, but I do believe in our ability to be cannibalistic for sure. And one of the things were you the one that told me that a hyena's bite can be stronger than a lion's bite?
Yeah, because lions are extremely lazy.
What? Listen,
yes, they are.
Let's not talk about. First of all, why don't they talk about the lion like the king of the jungle when they don't even live in a jungle, right?
Right, they live in Africa. Stop doing this.
The Sahara. No, not the Sahara. I'm tripping. But they definitely live in a savanna, right? That's what it's called.
Yeah, it's definitely the savanna, or people could just call it Africa, or I don't know what.
I mean, there's jungles in Africa,
so I
can imagine they wouldn't be there.
Yeah, but then, I think I just found another place. I think I just realized another place. My lions might be Madagascar. But that's just a theory.
Are you talking about from the show?
No,
the movie?
No, I'm not. No.
Okay, look.
Madagascar is an actual place in Africa.
No. Oh, wait, no. I thought it was an island.
No, Africa.
I'm gonna have to Google this and be sure.
Be my guest.
All right. So thinking about that, I just was kind of thinking about okay, so what are some of the other, facts about, werewolves? And one of the things that came up in research was lycanthropy, and that is literally the mental diagnosis of someone who believes that they are a werewolf. And that is something that's so interesting to me because so much of werewolf, vampire, and folklore and mythical creatures, or just all these creatures that we hear about over the years, that everyone's oh, there's no truth to any of this. For that to be a real mental condition is something that really piqued my interest, because I'm thinking, well, if this is something that's, I to be honest, I mean, it could be something that humans were using back then to kind of make sense of what's happening. So there are people in this world, of course, that when supernatural things happen, or when things out of the ordinary happen, their mind just can't fixate on the fact that there may be something supernatural involved, or just take it at face value, and they have to rationalize it. And so to me, lycanthropy being a mental condition is a human hearing about these stories but then trying to rationalize what may be happening in certain villages, because there have been several accounts that people have seen werewolves or a wolf-like man terrorizing towns. So
yeah. And there was also if you guys didn't know, there was like a sightings of a dogman in Michigan. Like they was talking about like reports of like this one truck driver. He was driving, and then he just like saw some random dog guy in the woods, and like he went to go check it out, and it looked like an animal. Like it looked like a man at first, but when he took a closer look, it looked more and more like an animal. So there's that.
And didn't he shoot it in that? It was like, that was 2020, was it? Let me actually check the date on that.
Yeah, it was 2020. And
that's crazy. Actually, this was reported on in October 5th of 2022. And I think this was I'm trying to think about where we source this from. But it's a story that has been reported on. But to be honest, in Michigan alone, there have been so many sightings of Dogman. There was actually a camcorder with a tape in it that was recording a Dogman type or werewolf type of being that was seen in the forest there in Michigan. Not forest, but in the woody area. And then that person was then attacked, but the video was able to be, kind of salvaged later on. Not with the intent to figure out like what happened, but just kind of like lost files type of situation. And then there's been multiple accounts. Some back in 2015. These are I'm talking about recent type of Dogman sightings. And there was another guy who was driving, and this is a businessman. Everybody who has reported on the Dogman, these are not people who are just, I don't want to discredit people, because everybody's valuable and the things that they say are valuable, even if you don't find it valuable. But these are people who, if you put them on paper and you wrote their life down, or, like how they live their life, these are people who you would think are accountable, like people who are, you could depend on them to either tell the truth or depend on them to not have anything to necessarily gain by telling this Dogman story. So there was a businessman that was traveling a particular route in Michigan and ended up seeing a Dogman-like figure in a wooded area. And he got out of his car, he goes to start looking, and he found a extremely large paw print that would be of a wolf, but it was so much larger than what a typical wolf would be. And this kind of brings me back to some of the folklore. So in some cases, there's reports of people turning into an actual wolf, like a wolf that size, right? But then there's also, which I think is more, in my opinion, kind of shapeshifter type of thing. But there's been multiple shows that kind of talk about or kind of depict them into turning into physical wolves that are not larger than the average wolf for the area, But then there are accounts of people seeing like the Michigan Dogman that are insane, because the Dogman is so large. So much so that the footprint is insane. It's almost unbelievable that it would be that type of size. And then also them talking about when it stands up being 10 to 12 feet, that's some spooky-ish,
And that's double the size of the average human. Imagine if we're just walking around in the forest and we just see something that looks like a tree, but then it looks like a 10 to 12 foot dog man. I'm not sure what to do. I don't know. I don't know if I'm supposed to run. I don't know if I'm supposed to give him something valuable. I don't know if he's mad at me for not owing him any money. But I do have a $5 bill in my pocket, so you can have that.
Listen, listen.
Not my flesh, though.
Listen, he's like, listen, $5 ain't giving me the amount of meat that, you know, I need to get full. That's what Dogman probably thinking. And then also I'm thinking like, okay, so like the Dogman is reported to be large, like extremely tall when standing up on its hind legs, you know, and then also like huge paws. So is it crazy fast as far as speed? I can imagine it would be.
Yeah, like the wolves in the real world are like really fast. They can, oh my god, I forgot how fast they went. But yeah.
Yeah. So I can imagine they go insanely fast. I mean, what's the average a human can actually run? What is that, like 15 miles an hour?
I think the fastest Usain Bolt's gone is here. Let me look it up real quick because
You said adults.
No, Usain Bolt, like the fastest runner, the fastest man alive, basically.
Oh, well, I'm talking about the average person. Because listen, the average person ain't going to be a track star. Let's be clear. So I'm thinking like maybe 13 to 15 miles an hour at top speed. And then depending on how your agility is and like, you know, your endurance, like how long can you stay at top speed? Because we're kind of like cheetahs where we can sprint really fast for short periods, but like the long game is a nice stride, and running from something like that, who knows?
Yeah. Correction, the average man goes 8 miles per hour and the average woman goes 6.5 miles per hour. Now let's take a look at how fast a wolf can go.
Listen, I think that's a little sexist because there's some fast women out here in track, okay? Where's all my ladies that will blow these guys' doors, you know?
Hey, I just looked it up. They can go 31 to 37 miles per hour running at top speed.
Listen, we a godass, okay? If the Dogman goes 40 miles an hour and the average human can run 8, listen.
We don't stand a chance.
Don't stand a chance. That's insane. Okay, well, hold up. Like, what if we run in zigzags? But I feel like they would hawk us down. Like, wolves, like, can wolves like run in zags? Like, cause I could imagine like they could.
They are actually very strategically intelligent. And plus, who knows? Maybe the Dogman can hunt in packs, which can be worse. The Dogman sightings, I've typically only seen one. Like, it doesn't say that they're the same one, but it hasn't seen multiple. There haven't been sightings that I know of that have had multiple, like, Dogman just running in packs with Dogman, you know? Yeah. But, me personally, I'm gonna have to pass. Oh, hey, Mom, wasn't there something about, mountain ash? Like that mountain ash from that rowan tree?
Oh, yes. Let's talk about it. Okay, so that's one of the things I want to talk about. So, you guys, we are supernatural creature lovers, right? So, we love supernatural. Everybody, I mean, listen, there's a cult following for supernatural. So, I am a part of that. And, I mean, let's talk about some, like, Grimm. I mean, Grimm has had so many supernatural creatures. True Blood, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, The Order. I mean, there have been some amazing TV shows over the years. And you know what I actually feel like we should do? We should probably do some watch parties and binge watch some of those TV shows that we really like, you know? And then kind of do like old school reviews on that and just kind of give a different take. I would love to do that.
If I'm being completely honest, the only type of shows that I've ever seen was Grimm, Supernatural, and The Order.
Oh, Teen Wolf?
Oh, crap. I completely forgot about that one.
Yeah, so there's been a couple, so maybe we can create like a list for people who maybe haven't necessarily, like, you know, they're looking for something that, you know, they have been around for a while and, you know, they haven't seen it and they can binge watch it. I'm always looking for those. So if y'all have some, you know, good shows that you want to recommend, leave a link or just, you know, post it in the comments for sure. One of the other things that we were kind of talking about is bringing up mountain ash is I thought it was so crazy. Okay, so let's actually go into Teen Wolf a bit. So Teen Wolf heavily talks about mountain ash, and not even just for it being for like a protected from, you know, what werewolves or anything, but there's a lot of there's a lot of, folklore that mentions mountain ash being able to, like, putting it in front of your door, surrounding your home, different type, like creating a circle. Like if you ever get in a bind and something's running up on you, create that circle and, around you. And then, that not necessarily being able to affect you because they can't break that barrier. And that is, specifically going off of what is, spoken in like Teen Wolf series and different things like that. And it mentions heavily with mountain ash. And that wasn't just for werewolves. It was any supernatural creature, how mountain ash was like a protectant and kind of a gate where they weren't able to enter. So one of the other things that I was thinking about is I saw recently that mountain ash. So one of the things that kind of stand out to me is that these things are not like things that don't exist, right? So mountain ash is very much so real. It comes from a Rowan tree. And it's so crazy because I know that in North Carolina, there is a county that called Rowan County. I think it's like in Concord, North Carolina, Cornelius type of, area, or maybe even Salisbury. I don't know if it's Salisbury, but there's definitely a county called Rowan. So I was like, man, like, let me see like what, that, how that goes. And it's from a Rowan tree. So I started to look and I'm like, Rowan trees in, North Carolina. And there are Rowan trees. Now, don't get me wrong, there's not many. I'm not going to say there's not many, but they're not like super easy to find if I'm not mistaken. But once they are burned, it turns into mountain ash. And so to think about, we talk about all these supernatural creatures and we talk about these supernatural beings or entities, and for there to really be, these, how do I want to say this? These ways of being able to protect yourself by using mountain ash, by using silver, all of these things. Even there was another one, it was a type of plant. It was a certain herb, and it was like poisonous or like very harmful to werewolves as well. And I'll think of it, but I can't think of it right now. But these things are really real. So I started to look and see like, wait a minute, like this definitely is something that is real. So thinking about folklore, like the legends that they talk about, I mean, they're real herbs, they're real trees, they're real, things that you can find, day to day. I'm not saying 100% easily, because if you're not like, oh, I ran into the supernatural creature and now I need this to protect myself, you wouldn't necessarily be looking for them things. But I think it's interesting how they really do exist. And to me, it's kind of like, call me crazy, but I always believe that there's some type of truth in everything. And so with this being the case, with this being the case, that this is something that's real and it's really a Rowan tree, and there are regions that actually, have what would be mountain ash or the ability to create mountain ash. I think that is more so leading me to be like, hey, like these things are really alive and here and amongst us, even if you don't necessarily want to acknowledge them or not, especially with the sightings. And there are several police reports in Michigan that, are from sane people that live everyday, ordinary lives that have nothing to gain, but they were terrified by what they saw and were in disbelief as well. So what do you think about that?
I mean, I personally feel like they have every reason to be scared of that. But, I mean, if there's a place that sells mountain ash or uses it to keep werewolves away, I'm definitely gonna have to go over there and save up my allowance and buy some mountain ash, because I don't know. I saw one person, he was awfully hairy. That's just my personal opinion. His name was Bob the Wolf. Okay.
Hilarious. The herb that I was thinking about was wolfsbane, so I couldn't remember it right offhand, but wolfsbane is real.
Yeah, and I think wolfsbane was the same thing wolf hunters use. It was basically like they would mush it to like a certain type of liquid, and they would use those as poison arrows or put it on their swords, cut them down or shoot them and stuff. So there's that.
And think about it, like Wolfsbane actually is not just for wolves either. There's been talk for, about that being used against witches, if I'm not mistaken, vampires, just several different, supernatural beings. So
I mean, I thought salt was used against witches.
I thought salt was used against demons.
Oh wait, I thought holy water was used against demons.
Oh, that I think that is for sure. I'm thinking about supernatural shows. So Supernatural definitely uses salt.
Well, I mean, Castlevania also uses salt, so there's that.
For vampires?
Well, for basically any other entity.
Ooh, okay, that's interesting.
So I might have to pull up over there and buy some salt.
Hey, look, definitely might have to do that. So let's just kind of get to talking. Okay, so we mentioned several TV shows. So, okay, what some of my favorite, like all-time favorite TV shows, Charmed. I even like the remake, so I know a lot of people are like back and forth about Charmed when it comes to like supernatural things, but I like Charmed. I like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, love Supernatural, love Grimm, love Teen Wolf, love The Order, love the old school, and I say old school because they haven't come out with a a new version, but love what is it? Underworld, all of the Underworlds I can watch. So I really, really love those. Let's think about some supernatural shows. So you mentioned Castlevania, which is an anime. So if you guys know of some supernatural type of animes, which I feel like that's always there, but like, getting to more like folklore type of things when it comes to, but I don't know, like animes talk about everything. I've seen animes with banshees in them. I've seen a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there's a bunch of other animes with there's demons, there's evil demonic entities. There's also there's this like in Naruto, there's this one basically a bunch of other demons still inside of people, which is kind of crazy though, to be honest. Oh, and also I feel like totally off topic, but I feel like Were is basically like the man version of, that animal. Like, basically you have like a were lion or a were tiger and stuff. And a were fish too. Oh wait, they already have a name for that.
What? A werefish?
Yeah, mermaids.
Oh, you're crazy. Yeah, that's facts. So in True Blood, there was like a were. What was that girl? She was like a were.
A were-dog? No, wait, a were,
Puma. She was like a puma or
Puma,
something.
right.
Yeah. And the one that Jason started to really like when he kind of got out of his fetish of like just wanting to hump everything that had a cooch and was around.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm gonna act like you do.
Okay. Well, hey, look. One of the other things that I wanted to mention, there was another piece that oh my gosh, one of the things that I found out was that before witch trials, there was werewolf trials.
Oh right, people were basically telling others that around the like their so-called werewolves, and I'm using parentheses fingers by the way. Basically, they was saying like like the only kind of proof that you need in order to like accuse that you're a werewolf is for people to around you to tell you that you're a werewolf and people that you trust, which is crazy in my opinion.
Right, like you could have ops, right? Like let's say you just don't like Susan down the block because she stepped on your peonies one time, right? And then Susan's like, I'm gonna tell Amanda and I'm gonna go tell Jackie that you a werewolf, and then it's on and popping for you.
She creased my shoes. I had every right to be mad at her.
Thanks. Listen, so your ops, if they outnumber you, and like, listen, I'm a homebody, right? And I'm so to myself, so I ain't got a lot of friends. Listen, y'all my friends though,
Yeah.
I don't. My friends say my friends. My friends is family. In the light of Fast whatever that just came out, right? We family.
Oh yeah, you know that one song, We Are Family.
Do.
Even though you're hairier than me.
Whoa, that's a fact. Hold up, listen. In the light of werewolves, okay? But for sure. Listen. I don't know what kind of pun was that, but hey, I think that that's crazy. Like the fact that literally it's just hearsay. Like you could see somebody today and be like, yo, her fit fresher than mine, boy. You know what I'm saying? She thinks she cute. She thinks she all that, boy. And then all of a sudden, you a hater. And then she's on werewolf trials. Like, that's crazy to me.
It is, and I just hope that my friends can prove that I'm not a werewolf before my enemies can prove that I am a werewolf.
But that don't even matter, though. Because if you think about, like, the Salem witch trials, the things that they would have to prove that they're not witches is insane. Like, okay, we're gonna drown you, and if you don't die, you're a witch. But if you died, you weren't a witch. But you're dead. You know what I mean? Like, that's insane.
What kind of benefit do I get from that?
Right, like literally. And then even back then, listen, don't get me wrong, because I definitely believe in witches, and I definitely think some of the people back then was witches. But I think what they had was outspoken women, quiet as it's kept, right? So this isn't the witch trials, right, episode. But when it comes down to what was going on, I think they had some women that should have been born in the 90s or something, or the 2000s, and they was like, you gonna do what to me? Boy, I don't need you. And the moment they started mouthing off, they was like, oh, we ain't never seen this before. You a witch. And they like, and you a bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm thinking. And then so the going back and forth, all of a sudden, you a witch, right? And they gonna tell their homeboys, because they can't have everybody. Hold on, like, let's talk about it. Talking about this right here, I remember there's this story in Esther, and I'm going biblical, right? So there's a story in Esther, and so the way that Esther actually met her husband was because in the beginning, right? So the king, who was like the king of kings, right? Like, I'm not like our Lord and Savior, like, no, I'm not saying that, but he was like a king that had many kingdoms underneath him, right? And his wife, he was having like this big banquet, this big party, and his wife was so beautiful. And so he wanted to show her off amongst like all the people, and she was like, no. And she didn't come downstairs. And he was like, look, lady, you need to come on down here right now. And she was like, I don't give a dang on what you saying. I'm not coming down, right? So what are they called? The dudes that are like castrated or whatever, they're like also advisors. I can't remember what they're called. Eunuchs?
I think that's what they're called.
I don't know if they used that in the Bible, but I believe that they did. And in the story of Esther, bro, like they were like, listen, you can't let her talk to you like that. The moment you let her talk to you like that, all the wives are gonna be like, yo, I could stand up to my husband. I ain't gotta do what he say do. So then there goes the hunt for the new wife, and then Shorty gets like thrown out. I don't know if she actually gets thrown out because they don't really talk about her that much, but that's what makes me think about the witch trials, right? So the moment that you stop listening and you're like, baby, I think you're doing some stupid stuff, right? You start getting a little sass about you. They're like, she's a witch, and killing you. That's what I think happened. But I digress.
I hate this. I hate it when people in the medieval times want to accuse some things about me, but they don't have no proof. But then like I said so, and you're gonna do what I say. Like this one time in Hocus Pocus, like this one girl, she was underage. They tried to have her marry a whole teenager. And basically, they said, I don't want to marry him. All right, you're gonna have to. No, I don't want to. And basically, they were saying like, oh, you're defying the will of God, you're defying the will of the church, and then you're defying the will of Jesus. That therefore you are a witch. Basically, right? They ran away, and then they want to burn down the house because they hate them and all. And now looking back at it nowadays, I feel like no one had any rights back in the medieval times. Oh my God!
Listen, we only have the rights that the government allows us to have. Let's be clear. But I digress on that piece. Well, like thinking about some takeaways. If there is some crazy stuff going on, just make sure you're locked and loaded. And I don't just mean guns, because we know based on folklore that if you ain't got no silver in them guns, that's your behind, and you might just piss whatever off more than you are saving yourself. So store a little mountain ash, keep it in your purse real tight, or some wolfbane, and figure out how you gonna protect yourself in the meantime.
Or how about that, you could just drink some holy water, and when they eat you, they burn alive.
Listen, I don't know how that works, but listen, the Lord is real, okay? Anoint your body is the temple.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Learn how to cast out. I rebuke and bind in Jesus' name. And I may be joking right now, but I'm so serious. I'm saying it with my funny voice, but I'm dead serious. Like,
yeah. Say yes to Jesus, but say no to demonic entities, and say no to witches.
Got to go.
And say no to drugs.
that in a nutshell. So let's be clear. If I was a resident in the area, some of the areas, or if I was just in Michigan as a whole, I'm keeping some wolfsbane. In fact, I might keep something around my property to be like, no sir, I'm keeping wolfsbane. I'm keeping mountain ash. Cause listen, the Dogman, I don't know. You know, it might be like garlic on a vampire where it really don't work, or what, you know, that's what they say at least. But I'm keeping me something. So all y'all out in Michigan, are y'all holding on to something? And I do mean mountain ash, wolfsbane, or something. Tell me what y'all do.
Yeah, quick disclaimer on the vampire garlic stuff. That stuff is useless. As a professional skinwalker, werewolf hunter, and vampire hunter myself, you think this is funny, but I'm being dead serious. The reason why that aliens haven't come to attack us, because I've been doing it, okay? I have been helping them. I have been teaching them our ways and teaching them that we are not a disgraceful race.
Listen, for all of you guys, that may be supernatural. He's joking. Okay, we don't want no smoke. We don't need that. But we are covered by the blood of Jesus. But listen, this concludes our first episode of Beautiful Alien.
Yes, I consider this successful.
I consider it successful as well. So thank you for being my co-host. I value your opinions, and I value the knowledge that you bring to this podcast or YouTube channel, whichever you hear us on.
Right back at you, ma'am.
All right, so thank you for listening to Beautiful Alien. I am Matea.
I am Yanni.
And we are out of here.
Goodbye.
That is it, ghouls and goblins. We have reached the end of another Beautiful Alien episode. I'd like to say bye, but I know you're coming back, so I'll see you later. Until next time.